Hello guys, welcome back to Ace Attorney Rise from the Ashes. And it's been a while, but let's pick up. See, this is what I'm talking about. No! Order! Oh, no way, I know this part. Lana's remarks caused a stir. The chaos in the courtroom cannot be quelled. The conclusion of the trial would have to wait until the following day. And to be continued. I'm so sorry, Mr. Wright. I'm sorry for what my sister said. Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to in order to get the verdict he deserved. I didn't know. I never knew that the SO9 incident was just another name for the Joe Dark killings. Sounds like everyone's heard of these killings but me. Hannah wanted Dark confetti so badly. That's why she used me. That's why she used what happened to me. What do you mean what happened to you? It's all there in the file. Joe Dark's last victim was prosecutor Neil Marshall. When he murdered Officer Marshall's brother, he left behind an incriminating piece of evidence. But what did you have to do with those killings, Emma? On the night Prosecutor Neil Marshall was murdered, Joe Dark tried to kill me. What? He tried to kill you? Officer Marshall's brother, Neil, was only trying to save me. So that means you... Yes. I was a witness in the Joe Dark trial. I didn't see that one coming. Oh no, happened 2 years ago. It was right around this time of year too. There was a terrible thunderstorm that day, unusual for the season. I was alone in my sister's office. We were planning to eat dinner together once she finished her work. Then suddenly, this terrifying man came bursting into the office. Joe Dark. It seemed like he was running from someone. He pulled out a knife and screamed at me. I didn't know what was going on. Just then Prosecutor Marshall showed up. Jake Marshall's brother. Joe Dark tried to take me hostage, but before he could, Mr. Marshall tackled him. Then, what happened? I'll never forget it. Lightning struck and the lights went out suddenly. A ball of lightning flashed outside the window, lighting up the office for an instant. What I saw then burned a permanent picture in my mind. I can still see it now. Permanent picture. I don't remember the moment when Doc stabbed Mr. Marshall, so you weren't able to testify about that. No, I was only asked about it when I was attacked. That must be why Lana, she made up the crime. Made it up? You mean provided bogus evidence? The prosecutor's office wanted that guilty verdict so badly, and the false evidence and Mr. Edgeworth used it. Edgeworth? Yes, but I'm sure he didn't know anything about it. He couldn't have known as he was given. Let me try that again. He couldn't have known he was being given false evidence. Even so, that's when it all started. The rumors about my stairs were for me. It's all my fault. If I could only have testified properly, none of this had happened. So it's true, even though he may have not known it, Ellsworth really was involved in falsifying evidence. After the case ended, Lana was never the same. She became cold, like she is today. She must have not been able to face up to what she did, especially not to Emma. What did you see in the instant that crime occurred? Don't not doing Mr. Marshall and raised his knife. Neil Marshall was stabbed right in front of this poor girl. I remember what happened after that. Apparently I passed out. When I came to, Lana was cradling me in her arms. Poor Emma, you've been through so much. I can't bring myself to testify about that instant. I tried, but the words just won't come out. Drew a picture, but it wasn't any good. 2 years ago, you must have been 14. That's understandable. Once it was all over, I made up my mind. Decided that when I grew up, I'd become a scientific investigator. I wanted to fight crime with my testimonies and find the evidence that make an airtight case. That way, Lana would never have to force any. I see. I think I'm finally starting to understand what makes them a tick. But there's still something that bothers me about that crime. There's something that's puzzling me, Emma. What is it? Said you were in Lana's office at the time, right? That's right. Why then would a serial killer come running in there? Not only that, but he was being chased by a prosecutor. Oh, there's no mystery there. Joe Dark had been taken in for questioning that day. Taken in for questioning? You mean by the police? Of course, this happened at the police department. He tried to run away halfway through the interview and fled into my sister's office. But why did he run all the way over to your sister's office? Because the detective officers and the questioning room are right across from the elevator. Across from the elevator? But Lana was the chief prosecutor, wasn't she? No, silly, didn't I tell you? 2 years ago, Lana was a detective. She was the best in the entire force. What? That's news to me. After the Joe Dark case, she was transferred to the prosecutor's office and made chief prosecutor. Lana used to be a detective. I better have another talk with her. Lana, Mr. Height, seems I keep causing you trouble. Falsifying evidence? I didn't think you were the type. Criminals don't mind playing fall. Why should we? But Lana, you're wrong. An innocent person might be found guilty. Believe me, I understand the risks. Lana, Emma told me about you. Oh? But how you were a detective 2 years ago. No. And how the SL9 incident was the reason for your transfer to the prosecutor's office. That's correct. Could you fill me in on the details, especially about that unusual change of jobs? I suppose you have a right to know, Mr. Wright. Lot of revelations were uncovered at the trial today, not the least of which was the fact that this case is largely connected to another one 2 years ago. Evidence from that case was stolen as well. Though I expected as much, I know how obsessive Officer Marshall can be. That trial, it really wasn't fair, was it? I believed in you, Lana. I believe that no matter what happened, you'd always stick to the truth. It couldn't be helped, Emma. That child 2 years ago, I sold my soul. Well, all drama aside, fact of the matter is, at 5:15 there was no murder at the police department. Tell me it's not true, Lana, what the witness, Miss Starr, said. But you stabbing Mr. Goodman with a knife. Lana, I don't understand. Why won't you tell us? Emma, this doesn't involve just me. I don't think I've ever seen Lana look so fazed before. It's true, I was a member of the police force 2 years ago. She was amazing. They still talk about it, all the cases. She and Chief Gant cracked together. Chief Gant? He was a deputy chief of police back then, but he still worked on crime scenes. Damon Gant, he was everything I aspired to be. They are the best team ever. They solved crimes before the reports could even be filled. Emma really idolizes her big sister. But now you're chief prosecutor, what happened? I always planned on becoming a prosecutor. The reason I became a detective was to gain an experience investigating crime scenes so you could use that experience in court, right? Gant's help in the SL9 case was crucial to its resolution. After that, he became chief of police, arranged my transfer to the prosecutor's office. Maybe I should ask more about this investigation of this 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I was second in charge command. 2 years ago, I was in second in command of the detectives investigating Doc. Second in command? That means the investigation was led by Damon Gant, right? Yes, Deputy Chief Gant and I shared the same office and the same investigations. They even had the same office. We led a team of the best detectives on the force. Detective Goodman, whose case it was, Jake Marshall and Angel Starr. It was the first time Marshall worked with his brother. He was quite gung-ho. Without a doubt, Joe Dark was the serial killer. We asked him to come in for questioning. We were desperate for evidence. That was when his final murder took place, when he tried to murder Emma. Prosecutor Marshall was trying to save me from Dark. You see, the first person who happened upon the scene of the crime was me. Now you tell us. Damon Gant and Neil Marshall were the ones questioning Dark that day. The investigation was in its final stages and Dark must have suddenly panicked. So he waited until Gant and Marshall let the guards down and then fled the room. From there, He ran straight to the office by Deputy Chief Gant and myself. That's where he found me. So you were the first person to onto the scene, Lana. It appears so. I was filling out some papers when Gant and Marshall were questioning Doc. Then when I returned to my office, I saw 3 bodies on the floor and smelled blood. 3 bodies, Prosecutor Marshall, the victim, Emma, who had passed out, and the suspect, Joe Doc. During the struggle, it seems Mr. Marshall struck a final blow before he died. Joe Doc had incurred a minor concussion and laid unconscious. What did you do? To be honest, I panicked. Picked up Emma, carried her over the room and just held her. Can't blame her after all her sister must have gone through. After that, I placed her under immediate arrest. Let me get this straight. You were all involved in the SO9 incident. That's right. Quite a coincidence, I don't buy it. What are you saying? There's no way everyone involved in this trial was also involved in that incident, just by chance. But that case was solved 2 years ago. At least one person went to extremes because they didn't believe it was truly solved. Officer Marshall. Yes, his actions came to a surprise to me as well. Ever since his brother died, he's completely changed. Guess he wasn't convinced with the ruling against Joe Doc. Life doesn't end with the closing of a case. Everyone has to live the rest of their lives with their memories. The case just might not be over. That case might just not be over yet. Emma was assaulted by Doc at the police department, right? Yes, in the office that Damon Gant and I shared. The office that Mr. Gant and I occupied. Sorry, I had to cut, but let's try from the start again. The office that Mr. Gant and I occupies by himself. The chief's office. Maybe we should have a look at the chief's office. The site of the final SL9 murder. Why did that take a bit to read? So it's been that hard. Okay. I don't see Detective Gumshoe anywhere. Things seem kinda quiet around here today. You're right. The chief of detectives seems the same though. Why don't we go look for some other people to talk to? Right, we can come back here later. Okay. I thought that we were supposed to go look, but what? Howdy, Bambina. Oh, Mr. Marshall. I never thought things turned out this way when I woke up this morning. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that first bit. You never know where life will lead you, hey, Bambina? I should have known my luck had ran out when old Billy dried up this morning. Billy? Must be his pet cactus. Say, where are you heading? Just over to the prosecutor's office for a little interrogation. It's a voluntary appearance, but we all know I won't be coming back. Sorry, but you can't go in the evidence room today, partner. But Mr. Marshall, why did you do it? Why do prospectors head west? If ever there was a case I needed to know the truth about, it was that one. Before you turn yourself in, Mr. Marshall, would you mind telling us exactly what happened? Looks like I won't be getting a steak lunch today. Something was fishy about that child from the beginning. It wasn't just me either. All the detectives thought so. What do you mean fishy? Some of the facts reported were inconsistent with the evidence we found. For example, the murder weapon. The murder weapon? You mean the switchblade knife with the broken tip? That was Joe Dark's alright. But in the initial autopsy report, a question was raised. Question? The blade of the knife was not a perfect match with the wound the victim sustained. What does that mean? It means there's a good chance that knife was not the murder weapon. However, in the report that was finally submitted, that possibility had been erased. Could the facts have been concealed with false evidence? That case left behind scars on all of us. The scars that the SO9 incident left behind? I got the looks, but he got the brains. He was one of the best prosecutors around. I just made detective when it went down. It was our first case together. How old was he, your brother? He was 27 at the time. He was awarded the highest honor that very day. The highest honor? You mean the king of prosecutors? I knew it. What are you looking at me like that for? That's an honor for a prosecutor. Mr. Marshall must have really been close with his brother. The day the SO9 incident took place, that wasn't the same day as... That's right, it was the day of the evidence transfer. Interesting. It was drizzling that morning, and by nightfall, there was thunder. I can't believe 2 years have gone by already. I tried to steal the evidence so the case won't die. Apparently someone tried to stop you. Detective Goodman was murdered and the evidence locker was empty. There was something going on behind the scenes in that case. We all knew that later. Every detective involved in the investigation, save one, was taken care of. Mr. R was fired and I was demoted and boxed away in a tiny room. What about Detective Goodman? If there did something to him too, the commissioners would get suspicious. No, they were careful enough to not be too obvious. They? Who are you talking about? Don't get upset, Bambina. I mean Damon Gant, Lana Sky. The investigation lead, Damon Gant, and the second in command, Lana Sky. There wasn't a person on the force who had heard of that deal. That case was the biggest step in both of their careers. After the case ended, Lana transferred to the prosecutor's office, right? Yeah. Yeah, Damon Gant, the new chief of police, arranged for that to happen. She's never been the same since she left. Everyone who knew her says so. Chief Prosecutor Sky was totally different when she was a detective. Now that he mentions it, Emma says something like that too. Tell me, what happened to my sister? Sorry, Bambino, but a secret is too well guarded. I never found out. And a secret. It was all started 2 years ago. So there you have it. That's my story. Did you enjoy it, partner? It was certainly enlightening. There's one thing for sure that I found out in court today. That boy Ainsworth isn't my enemy. He was the one who used falsified evidence to get guilty verdict. But someone else was the one who gave him evidence and planned everything. That someone is Damon Gant. Don't believe me? Well, I don't blame you. I won't even be a patrolman after today. Too bad I won't be around to work with you. When you become a real scientific investigator. Adios, Bambina. So yes, the parking lot. No one's here today. Not even Mr. Everyone's probably busy looking into what exactly went on in the evidence room. That must be where the detectives are. But we proved in court today that on the day of the crime, no one was murdered in the evidence room at 5:15 p.m. Yeah, I thought we were finally making some headway in our case. But instead it looks like we just ended up making Lana look even more guilty. I've got to find all the answers by tomorrow. Is anything? Maybe we go here first. Mr. Ainsworth isn't here. Maybe it's been questioned by an inquiry committee. Took a real beating in court today. Yeah, with Lana admitting to falsifying evidence 2 years ago. I guess we just have to come back later. Okay, not there. Oh, this place is always pretty empty, but today's deserted. So thinking. Or if you're looking for the others, they're all in the conference room. Thanks. Wow, he actually talked to us. With the chief prosecutor saying what she did and the decision about what to do. But Mr. Ainsworth, not to mention our statement to the media on tomorrow's trial, there's more chaos going on than Thanksgiving and Christmas put together. I think festive is the word usually used for those. And so we'd like to have a look around Chief Gant's office. Just use the connecting hallway to the other building and take the elevator to the top. Really? You mean it's okay for us to go in there? I mean, we aren't police officers or anything. Hey, you're right. You can't go in there. It's off limits. Hey, Matt. You could have just said nothing. Now I see where Detective Gumshoe gets his unique charm. Well, while are we waiting for, let's head to the chief's office. Okay, well, whatever. But we'll do that in the next episode, so I'll see you guys then. Goodbye.